We just had a clear and unanimous decision by the Supreme Court. The state has been unfair in this referendum, using taxpayers' money to get a yes vote in this referendum, leaving voters uninformed about what this referendum is really about, and the state taking over parental rights and harming the family. I want to thank the judges, my legal team, and all the support I received.
Are you going to try and actually stop the referendum on Saturday? Or
I can't discuss that now.
Mark, what was it about the campaign itself that you took particular issue with?
Government publications, for example, were incorrect. There's been little effort or no effort to actually make corrections. So people should pay careful attention now at this stage to the government use their the taxpayers' money in a way which is not consistent with a free and open democcy.
Do you think it's possible one of the particular sentences or that you feel was particularly imbalanced?
There's a number throughout which were mentioned in the case. I'm not going to go with them now.
Can we rely on the outcome of this referendum now? Will it be a safe referendum, the outcome? I'm
personally quite doubtful, and people should pay attention. Again, in a serious situation like the referendum, that if the government can't be trusted in this regard, what can they be trusted with,
Are you considering taking more action though?
No comment on that at the moment.
Mark, can you hold up that government pamphlet?
Oh yeah,
if you wouldn't mind, yeah. Hold up a little higher, that's it. Perfect. Look this way if you wouldn't mind, Mark.
Mark, would you describe yourself as a no campaigner?
I'm a person with a track record of concerns about the way the government treats families and the Irish people.
In terms of the McKenna principles, is there scope for them going forward? Is it time to have a whole rethink of how we inform people ahead of referendums?
The McKenna judgment was very, very clear to protect the rights of the Irish people, and also to put a limit on the way the government behaves. And there's been a great slippage in that area in the wrong direction. So hopefully the government will pay careful attention now to this judgment today.
Mark, would it be irresponsible though, in the light of the findings, to just simply accept the outcome if that happens to be a yes on Saturday?
It's a legal matter for maybe it might come up in the future. For the moment, I'm not involved in anything in that area.
In terms of costs, will you be applying for your costs? Will the state have to pay for this challenge?
As far as I know, the state will take care of that in this area, because I did take it on behalf of the Irish people. It wasn't for any personal gain.
They completely overturned Mr. Justice Nicholas Kearns' judgment. He said that the material was neutral. How do you feel about that decision now?
Well, he made that decision at that moment in time. The fact is, it went to the Supreme Court and there was a unanimous decision in favour of the case I took. So I'm happy with that.
Do you feel vindicated then?
Absolutely.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.
This referendum is about state control of children. It's about the ending of parental rights to make decisions, good parents to make decisions for their children, and the state knew it, and they instead just gave the mythical version of what this referendum is about. Unfortunately, the referendum is on Saturday. People have been badly misinformed, at their own expense, and it begs huge questions. So I would say to anyone, vote no. Absolutely vote no in this referendum and demand answers for why they were lied to.
Where to from here, Kathy?
Where to from here? Well, hopefully the referendum be defeated, that good parents will keep their rights to raise their children, make decisions for them. And then I think all of us in this country have to get on the case of the state, have to insist that children will be treated properly. And we also have to open up the secret courts, the in-camera courts, so that all children, all families are treated properly in this country. I mean, the very contempt that the state showed for the voters in producing one-sided leaflets has now been exposed by the Supreme Court, all 5 justices. And that same contempt is the kind of contempt they hold us, the voters, in, that they hold families and they hold children in. So I think hopefully this will bring about a defeat of the referendum, and then we have to commit ourselves to children.
If Saturday produces a yes vote, will you be looking at legal options?
If Saturday, I don't know about that yet. I'm still working for a no. The Irish people are wise. We've been stripped of our money, we've been stripped of our jobs, but I tell you, Irish people are not going to be stripped of their children.
The court said it was clear there were extensive passages in the booklet and on the website which did not conform to the McKenna principles. The material also included a misstatement about the effect of the referendum. A declaration was granted that the government acted wrongfully in spending public money on the website, booklet and advertisements in a manner which was not fair, equal or impartial. Today's decision overturns a recent ruling of the High Court which found the information was not biased. But the Supreme Court said an injunction today was not necessary because it could be assumed the government would now stop distributing and publishing the material. The substance of Saturday's referendum was, the court said, a matter for the people alone. Vivian Traynor, RTE News at the Supreme Court.
Those on the no side welcomed today's court ruling, while the government has rejected a call from a group of independent TDs for the vote to be postponed. Campaigners calling for a yes vote said the ruling shouldn't distract voters from the real issues.
It's been a campaign that at times has seemed pedestrian, but today, courtesy of the courts, it sprang into life. The Taoiseach said the government respected the Supreme Court decision, but stressed it wasn't a judgment on the principles of the proposed amendment.
I believe that the vast majority of people in this country will regard the welfare and the rights of children as far more important than any view that they might have about the outcome of the court case.
Those on the no side said the verdict meant the outcome of the vote was now contaminated.
This is a sensational decision in the sense that it actually indicts the government's campaign completely for abuse of process and shows that effectively the government has been misappropriating public funds in order to sell propaganda.
Meanwhile, a group of independent politicians said the referendum should now be postponed.
They can introduce legislation to postpone this referendum if they wish to do. I think they should do that, put it off for 2 or 3 months and have a fair referendum in fair circumstances.
Looking for a yes vote on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Elsewhere, the campaign continued today with both sides pressing home their arguments before the broadcast moratorium takes effect from tomorrow.
This puts children at the heart of our law, at the heart of our policy, and most of all at the heart of our constitution. And that'll make a profound change over time.
I'm just urging people to vote no, protect the rights of parents and families, grandparents, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, to protect children and childhood.
Those on the yes side were keen to stress today that voting will take place as planned on Saturday. Polling stations will open from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. We should know the result by Sunday lunchtime. And whatever the outcome, it now seems it will be associated with some controversy. Conor Hunt, RTE News.
For more on this story now, we're joined from government buildings by our political correspondent David McCullough. David, we've had Minister Varadkar, the Taoiseach, saying the referendum will go ahead, nothing has changed, but an embarrassment for the government nonetheless.
It certainly is, Eileen, and it's an entirely self-inflicted one as well. Now, just before I came out to talk to you, the Minister for Children, Frances Fitzgerald, was addressing the Seanad about this. The issue was raised in the Seanad by Senator David Norris, and she was responding to that, and she said her department had acted in good faith and with the best intentions to ensure compliance with the McKenna principles, and she said that legal advice had been received throughout from the Office of the Attorney-General. But, having said that, the Supreme Court found against the government, found that money had been improperly expended. Now, Frances Fitzgerald also said that in previous referendums there had been complaints from members of the public that not enough information had been given and that there was a duty on government to supply information. And I suppose that is, of course, true. But supplying information, many would say, is the job of the Independent Referendum Commission, chaired by a High Court judge, about which there's been no complaint and no finding by the Supreme Court. They've been carrying on their information campaign. A total of €1.9 million has been spent on that, compared to €1.1 million spent on the government's information campaign, which is now being found to be problematical by the Supreme Court. I suppose the irony is, in many households, the information leaflet probably went straight into the green bin. But tonight, just before the broadcast moratorium kicks in at lunchtime tomorrow, the last news people will have of the referendum campaign is this embarrassing setback for the government.
Now, briefly, we've had 5 independent TDs call for the referendum to be postponed. That call will be echoed by others. What's the likelihood of that?
the likelihood is zero. Existing legislation doesn't allow for a referendum to be postponed. Shane Ross, as you heard in Connor's report there, suggested that emergency legislation would be brought in, but the Supreme Court did actually deal with the issue of postponement and said that and did not recommend that it should be postponed. So the referendum will go ahead, as the government and others on the yes side, because the yes side is much larger than the government, have been keen to point out the issues haven't been changed. This is solely a matter about the government's information campaign. The issue before the voters is the same as it ever was.
David McCullough, thank you.